What's up, guys? BrunsNick's back, and as you can see, I have the Smokin Inferno from Brunswick. A gem, a relic. I hear that term a lot. Oh, I gotta get that gem. Oh, that ball's a gem. At a certain point, do bowling balls lose their performance by just sitting in storage or sitting in someone's closet for 20 years? This ball came out around 2005. It's now the year 2023. Will this ball perform just like I remember it back then? Or am I wasting my time drilling these old relics? And should you not bother with old bowling balls? A lot goes into it. We're going to talk about it. But before we get into that, please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Now, let's see what the Smokin Inferno does on the lanes. All right. These are exciting times. Going retro for everybody. Smokin Inferno, a ball that came out almost 20 years ago. It's 2023, so this ball came out in 2005, 2006. Old retro ball. That leads to the question, should you seek out old gems or just leave them be? Because Father Time is not that nice to bowling balls, and it also depends on how these things were stored, whether they were stored room temperature, on a hard floor. You know, sometimes they have micro cracking in the shell with, you know, that sort of thing. This ball was in perfect shape, so I'm going to get this out on the lanes. We got a few games bowled on this, so we have a pretty, beat up house condition a little bit. I'm going to see if this ball still performs and still gives me those feel-good vibes, because that's all it is. You like the ball, you want to throw it again, found one on eBay or Facebook or wherever, you paid an exorbitant amount of money because it's rare, it's a gem. Should you go through with that, and should you keep buying balls like that? I mean, it's your money, you can do whatever you want. I'm just here to see if the performance is the same. You got that same old sound too. I remember that where you hear the labels, because the label had a lot to it. So you hear that ch-ch-ch-ch-ch. You know, that's the label digging into the lane there. So back in the day when I had this ball, you know, I drilled it pinned down with the hole down. You can't do that layout anymore, and I don't really like to use pin down layouts anymore. So the other thing that you really got to look at and consider when buying an old ball is how is time affected the oil absorption of the cover, because bowling balls still cure over time. You know, they're not just cured and they're done. Over a course of that long, will the ball harden over time? Will it absorb oil the same? And we're going to find out. So that first shot looked pretty good. Let's throw another one, same spot. Maybe keep it in the oil a little bit. So what you might encounter when you're buying an old gem is a few things. Okay, so if the ball's not absorbing oil correctly, it's going to have a tendency to stay on the surface a little bit longer. The ball might feel a little slimy, right? Okay, so you can hear this label rolling, right, as you go down the lane. So as the ball cures, it's going to shrink ever so slightly, pushing the label a little bit higher. So that'll wear down over time, and you can take care of that with the surface adjustment, you know, just by resurfacing it. Now, oil absorption is important because that's how a ball, performance ball, reactive ball, hooks. I'm going to move 5. And if the ball is hindered in any way with absorbing that oil, that's going to dictate what the ball does as you throw it more. So far, this ball is not bad. You know, I'm obviously bowling on a house shot, and I have a few games bowled on it, so there's some friction. You know, back in the day, this Smokin Inferno was not a heavy oil ball by any means. I think it had a little bit lower differential than the original Inferno line, just to give it a little bit more length, cleaner cover. But it's hit or miss. You know, when you're getting these old balls, you never know, like I said, how they were stored or how they were treated, where they were put. It's in the oil. Yeah, so it's starting to labor already. A little bit on the back end. You know, it's not that big skid flip motion that I remember, that big hard left turn, left side turn. Do I like throwing this ball still? You bet. I can't really see the track flare. You know, the colors are so good. You know, they're fairly tight. I would say 1/8 inch to a 3/16 inch separation. Doesn't look like it's flaring a whole lot. Definitely making a lot of sound. All right, I'm gonna move left. 5 more. Let's start slow hooking it maybe a little bit. Yeah. So what I'm noticing is the ball's just loading up with a little bit of oil. It's not seeing that friction. You know, it's not responding to it. You know, so that's a thing that tells me that maybe this ball's hardened up a little bit. Sometimes you could fix that with resurfacing. You know, you can put it on the Haas machine. You can kind of give it a little touch with a pad to kind of open up those pores again. But that's what I'm seeing right now. So maybe we'll hit it with a pad. I don't like to do that with a ball like this, but for the sake of the video, we'll try it just to see. So let's throw one more from there. Let's see if I can really slow hook it and get around it and maybe get through the pins, but haven't been able to yet. Got it out wide. Yep. So even sending it out wide, you know, the ball's just not responding. It's not giving me those 2006 vibes where I can hook the whole lane. I probably don't have the rev rate that I once did, but that's okay. The other thing you gotta pay attention to, or you know, you may not even realize this is happening over time, but it goes back to how it was stored. These balls can get out of round if they just sit in one spot for super long, or if they go from hot, cold, they can get a little bit out of round. So they have to be resurfaced and put back to true. I don't think this one was an issue, but I think this one was stored properly. That's in the oil. Yeah, no chance. Let's hit it with some surface. I'm just gonna crack the shell a little bit on it. Got the old trusty 2000 pad. So we're just gonna lightly hit this with surface. Gotta wake this ball up a little bit. I mean, I don't think I ever used surface on mine. I used it more late in the block when they were hooking. Gorgeous ball though. Hate to do this, but we're here for science. What was your guys' favorite gem? What ball are you guys considering still getting? You know, if you guys could have any ball again, what would it be? Go as far back as you want. Put them in the comments, let me know. All right, same zone. Now we got a little 2000 grit action going. Yeah. Not quite what we're looking for. Now, I actually bought this ball myself. I found it on eBay not too long ago. Had to have it, saw it, wanted it. I wanted to do a video, and this is the kind of video I wanted to do. You know, are bowling balls that are 2 decades old almost worth getting again? With the heavier oils that they put out, viscosity? I don't know. Oh, it's a little softer speed. Got to send it out. It's got to see friction. So, you know, it's bottom line is it's your money, right? If you want the clout, is that a thing with bowling balls? Clout? Let's see if we can see some flare on here finally. I mean, not a ton. Decent. I would call this a mid-range ball. This would probably be in like Crypto Boom performance range, somewhere in there. Nothing crazy. Let's move further left. Let's get this all the way left where I like to play here at the end. Let's try seeing how much I can bend this ball. That's a great shot. Yeah. Let's throw one more. Obviously I got it back. Hasn't gotten through the pins quite yet. Make it a bad ball? No. Does it make it kind of unimpressive by today's standards of bowling balls with all the new technology? Yeah, a little bit. All right, one more shot and we'll wrap this up. Really soft. Yeah. All right. Bottom line, if you want to get the old relic, go for it. If you're expecting the performance to be exactly what you remember from 5 years, 10 years, 20 years ago, 30 years ago, you're probably going to be disappointed. That's all I have for today. Let me know what you thought of this video. Do you go out and buy those expensive discontinued balls because they're rare, they're gems, you got to have them? Is it a fear of missing out? Or you just remember bowling a little bit different that far long ago? Anyway, put your comments below. Please subscribe if you haven't already.